What's going on, fam? It's your boy Sydney from the Naked Gardener. Today we're going to do a video talking about how we became the Naked Gardeners and from gardeners to homesteaders. I'm going to be telling you this story while I'm doing the chores. So let's get going. The missus and I started our journey as being foodies in the Dallas, Texas area. I mean, we're still foodies. And we would try like different dishes. We would go to different restaurants and do a date night where we'll go to different bars and try the same appetizers and same drinks and stuff like that and see if we could recreate it later on. So the missus would buy some herbs, you know, those herbs from the grocery stores where they're like $5 or so, whatever, and she would forget about it. And I would get pissed off because it would be like 3-4 times a week that she would go and get it. And I was like, hey, listen, stop buying it unless you're going to use it right away, because if you don't use those herbs right away, they'll go bad. And so I went up to Google University and tried to find out how different ways to preserve your herbs that you get from the store or just herbs, period. So I found out a way to preserve some of the herb by sticking it in some water, and it continued to grow and staying alive. And so I was like, okay, this is cool. So then I find out different ways how to even grow our herbs. And then the missus taught me, or introduced me, I should say, into a spaghetti squash. And we had the seeds, and I threw them out into the backyard of our area. It's a very small backyard. I probably would say our backyard in the Dallas area is probably like a 30 feet by 30 feet. And it started growing. So we started going to the nursery and picking out like okra and different small plants that we can take care of for an urban backyard garden. So we like tomatoes and peppers and stuff, and those just continue to thrive. So I was like, okay. And then we eventually went out to containers and start showing our showcase of how we're growing our food and different things. Just a small little garden, post them on Facebook and everything. And we're happy with our little setup. This is Jane Doe, and right behind her is Peaches. They're kind of upset that I bred them yesterday or over the weekend. Peaches wouldn't lift, so we had to manually lift her. So we're going to try to see how she does with her kids. If she doesn't do too well, we're going to introduce her to freezer camp. Sunday is normally our moving day, except for with these meat birds, we move them every day. And lately, we've been moving them twice a day. So y'all know it's moving day. So while we were posting pictures on our Facebook page, I decided to create our own Facebook group, I guess you can say. And it was called the Holland's Harvest. And, got to take these out. Yeah. And the reason why we created that page, because we were posting every day on just our regular Facebook account. And I got to thinking maybe we were over flooding our friends' timeline and they didn't want to see that. And so we made a Facebook page called The Holland's Harvest. Come on. So in doing this, we eventually did Instagram, because back when Instagram was all about pictures, it seemed like that was the better thing to do. And we were getting a better feedback from that. Get back. Get back. Get back. They're gonna make me step on y'all. So glad this is y'all last week. All right. Oh, come on. Y'all moving the thing too much. Y'all act like I don't feed y'all. Seriously, guys. I swear I feed them. We actually feed them twice a day, 24 hours, because we're going to be processing those on our for ourselves and piecing them out. So we want them getting as big as possible. So back to the story. We were posting pictures and different things, and we had some friends and some people that follow us on Instagram was asking us how did we do that, a particular vegetable, whatever. And they wanted us to do videos. I didn't really saw myself as being in front of a camera and whatnot, and Mrs. definitely don't, as y'all know. But we decided to, go ahead and go for it. So we created the challenge of doing our videos, doing a YouTube channel. It was at first it was going to be called the Holland's Harvest, but back then, a lot of viewers or a lot of YouTubers was doing a lot of lives, and I would chime in and see people's name from something acre, something homestead. So I wanted to be something different. So we went to church. So one time while we were in church, we were taking communion, and the pastor was talking about how Adam and Eve were in the garden and how they were supposed to be eating the forbidden fruit. And then once they ate that forbidden fruit, they had some knowledge. So after we got home, I told the missus, you know what? Our channel name is going to be called The Naked Gardeners. Oh, we got one there. So the missus was like, "Oh heck no! Y'all gonna be wanting them to expect a lot from me." I said, "Wait, hear me out." I said, "The purpose of us being naked is because we don't know what we're doing. We are going to be basically using no synthetic chemicals, nothing of that nature. Is just going to be all organic, or the organic method, I should say." And she's like, "Oh, whatever." So then, while we were in church, and we were telling people that we started a gardening channel, and then they was asking us, well, what's the name of your gardening channel? And so she told us, or she told them, what the gardening channel was called. They were like, "What? The Naked Gardener?" I was like, "I don't know all about that." But you saw them off on the side, like looking at their phone, trying to see what it was. And back then, it was called NAKED. That's before YouTube was like all against this whole stuff that they're allowing now. And so, that's how our channel grew. And then the pandemic happened. Kevin, leave Domino alone. So then the pandemic happened, and then that's when our channel kind of even grew a little bit faster. We were doing a lot of container gardening. We started off in container gardeners into small little raised beds, and then just got bigger and bigger till we almost well, we didn't almost. We outgrew our urban backyard garden. We had about a 4, maybe 600 square foot garden. Uh, Went out to a homesteading life conference out in Missouri. Learned about how you can raise food and about the food system, how broken the food system eventually is. And then we decided to take the leap and to start raising our own animals. So the missus was searching around looking for a good. Make sure y'all remind me not to leave this egg in my little pocket here. So the missus was searching around, finding some homes for us to look at, some property to look at, I should say. And I at first wanted about 2 acres because when the pandemic happened, March of that year, the missus was let go from her job, and it was just my source of income that was getting us through. We didn't really have bills besides the mortgage. Our cars was paid off, and just like the small utilities, so we were able to make it then. We eventually was looking at properties. I was working in Georgia and Florida at the time, flying back and forth. And by the time I came back, she would find some houses. We would look at houses while I was away. And then when I fly back on a weekend, that house was pretty much gone, was off of sale. So I was like, crap. So we expanded our search area, and we came up finding this area. Now it was a little bit further out the way, from a longer commute from my job, and so I was kind of iffy at first until I saw the shop, which was a major key point for me because I was building a lot of our projects for our garden, and now for the things for our livestock that we would have to build. So I was like, okay, we can deal with this. We finally got here in April 2021, and we were trying to look for some chickens, and all of the chickens were pretty much sold out from Mary McMurray and all these other hatcheries that we were looking at. And then we were like, oh man, we got to this property, we can't even raise any animals. It's gonna be till the following year. Until looked at Tractor Supply. They were shipping eggs. I forgot the name of the hatchery that they were using. So we ordered 30 egg-laying chickens and 20 turkeys. Let me go get these sheets, otherwise y'all gonna hear y'all hungry? Y'all hungry? Huh? Sugar? Faith? Latte? Mocha? She is so skittish. Look at her hiding behind the tree. Come on. Oh. Can y'all not bum rush me? Please? Ma'am. 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 Get out of my way. Y'all move. I ain't got no more. So the reason why we started off with 20 turkeys is our mentor, Jason and Robin at Big Bear Homestead. We were going to their property a lot in Georgia while working there, and everyone, even including them, was telling us turkeys just find ways to kill themselves. If it rains, they'll just look up and just drown. They were just so hard to keep. So initially we were going to get 5, but the hatchery said that we had to at least get 10. So then I was thinking, if we have out of those 10, 5 of them died, and we were going to try to sell a few of them just to see how we do, that it wasn't going to be beneficial for us. So we need to get 20, and that way if 10 die, we'll have at least 2 for ourselves for Thanksgiving and sell some from there. Eventually all of them made it through. There was a few that we did have the cold, and only one that just died mysteriously, but it was way past the 9 weeks mark. After 9 weeks, if you're raising turkeys, it's downhill from there. It's very easy. Well, it's supposed to be very easy. For the chickens, the reason why we got all of the chickens that we had is we knew once again from Jason and Robin at Big Bear Homestead was telling us during certain times of the year, their egg production is going to be very low. And then after every 2 years, or every year after 2 years of having chickens, their egg production will die down as well, because chickens have a certain amount of eggs that they are born with. And normally after year 2, or sometimes even year 1, their egg production will go down. And if, especially right now in the winter, fall time months, the amount of daylight decreases their chance of laying eggs. So I was like, well, that way around this time of year we'll still be having some eggs, so we'll get 30. So I was Googling about, since we were the naked gardeners, what animals had either no hair or feathers. And I saw the naked necks. I was like, we got to have these. And I showed the missus that. She said, yeah, winner, chicken dinner. And they're a great dual purpose. They're good for eggs and for meat birds. Not too much on the carcass, but it's easier to harvest them because there's no feathers on their neck. Then I was looking at the barred rock and the Plymouth red, because those are great brood. Sometimes those are great broody hens. And since if we wanted to keep our egg production in rotation, where we didn't have to rely on the hatchery, just in case if we accidentally didn't meet the first wave or something, life happens, whatever, we didn't have to worry about the hatcheries, and we can hatch out our own eggs by letting the hens do their own hatching. So what else then we had? So we did 5 of those, 10 of the naked necks. So 5 Rhode Island Reds, 5 Plymouth Rock, 10 naked necks, and then it was 10 rare ones. So they threw in some Australorp and some just different breeds into there. And so we got those our first year. And then with the turkeys, we were thinking, or at least I was thinking, with all the turkeys that we have, maybe we can keep maybe a Tom and a Jenny, or a hen, and hatch her eggs out, have her hatch her eggs out, because sometimes those are great broody hens as well. But then the missus was like, well, with these commercialized meat birds, I think they were the broad-breasted turkeys, they aren't great with reproduction, so we eventually had to butcher all 16 of those. That was the first year onto our property. Our neighbor, they had a bunch of ducks at the time, and their ducks would come over to our area and start laying some eggs. And I was kind of skeptical about hatching and eating these eggs, but the missus was like, you know what, let's try it. So I wasn't sure how long these eggs were laid, but I cracked them into a cup first before I put them into a pan. That way we wouldn't be eating, or at least I wouldn't be seeing a half developed bird there. And so we ate it, and we were like, oh my God, this is delicious. So went up to the website, looked up different types of ducks that we can use or raise. And I know Khaki Campbell was the best high production egg laying ducks. And then you had the Indian runner. Then I found these. So these are Welsh Harlequin ducks. So we got these Welsh Harlequin our first year with being onto this farm, because we wanted to have nice sized eggs, and they're great for egg production. But we got, I think it was like 12, and they were growing out pretty good, and it was time to put them out onto pasture. But we had a hawk pressure, and a hawk killed about 2 of them. So we were like, oh, I got so depressed. And then we decided to put Kevin, since he was getting picked on by Rudy, our naked neck was picking on Kevin, our light Brahma. We decided to put him inside with the ducks to kind of help protect them from the hawks, and it was doing pretty good. But then I was like, we need to get him some friendly time there. So we put 2 hens in there to kind of keep him occupied during the whole situation, and it worked out pretty good. Our friend Eric and Monica at Bland's Promise Land Ranch, they knew that we loved duck eggs, and they had some duck eggs, and they wanted to give it to us. So I was like, oh, okay. But they wanted to give it to us as something to eat. But I asked Monica, I was like, so are these eggs fertile? Because the missus had just bought a incubator without my permission at that. And so she was like, yeah, I think so. There we have plenty of drakes, so they could be fertile. So we hatched those out, and that's how we got the tomahawk. Tomahawk is so cute, but this is their last week as well. We've had them for, like I said, 2 years now, and with the high demand of the Welsh Harlequin ducks, we got to protect them and be making sure we know what eggs that we're going to be shipping out. So some of those ducks are going to go off to freezer camp. Now, how we got these geese, we started off with 3, and the reason why we got those is we felt that Kevin and his girls needed to be in a different spot, and so we needed some protection. So these are some great alarm clocks and protectors of our ducks. So you're probably asking why our feed is looking like that. It is because it is a fermented feed. And this basically will help save on your feed costs if you have a lot of chickens like we do. As you can see, it helps it break down all the feed. You could use pellet, crumble, any type of feed that you could think of, even whole grain. And what this does is allows the chicken to actually absorb the nutrients a lot better, help them eat it a lot better, especially if you have one of your chickens that have cross beak or something of that nature. It provides a good source of gut health for your chickens, and it just basically helps improve their health. They love it. Now, me and the missus didn't grow up like this. We are first year generation farmers, and so we're learning a lot of things from our success and our mistakes, and we're going to be sharing that with y'all. Speaking of hawk, there's one right there that just flew. And all of them, the roosters, this is a great thing about roosters. They'll make a call. They'll make a call to where it alerts the chickens, and they'll go run and hide. So I take it that the hawk was flying around here earlier because a lot of these girls were around the coop, which normally around this time they'll be all over foraging now. These are American breast. We got these in our 2nd year of being onto the farm. I googled what is the best tasting bird, and American breast came up. We were going to initially do a test on the American breast, the Cornish cross, and the Red Ranger, and just to try to see which one is the best productivity of raising them, from feed costs to death to different things of that nature. And for us, it's just me and the missus. We don't have any kids. We're empty nesters, so we don't have any child labor to help us out during most of, I would say, well, really all of everything that goes on to this homestead. And so we just basically rely on each other. So American breasts don't get as big breasted as the Cornish cross. However, they are more sustainable, because during the pandemic year, I think it was, or the year after, you couldn't get any chickens because a lot of the influenza or whatever disease that was going around, a lot of hatcheries had to euthanize a lot of their birds. So people were kind of stuck, especially the ones that were doing Cornish cross for a source of income. They were kind of hurt off of that whole process. Now, initially, we didn't want to sell our products or anything. It was just basically for us. Everything that we did on our homestead, our initial thought was this wasn't going to be just for us. But we did a video about raising the American breast, and that gained a lot of interest. Oh, we got one egg, nice and clean. Yeah, like that. This was a great ordeal for us, having this, because having an American breast, a lot of people were interested on having some of our hatching eggs. So we looked into that and getting some hatching eggs, or how we can ship hatching eggs, because a lot of them were not in our local area. And so we had to find out that we had to be NPIP certified, which basically a third party had to come onto our property and test a few of our birds just to see if they had any type of disease. It was all cleared, so we were able to send out our certificate to the NPIP agency. They gave us the okay to now ship out hatching eggs and day-old chicks. We're not there yet on the day-old chicks at the time, but we were shipping out a lot of the hatching eggs, and that was one of the major sources of our income for the American breast, is shipping out the hatching eggs. Next year, I think we're going to try our hand and dabble a little bit in shipping out a few of our day-old chicks, just to see how we can improve the efficiency of that, because we left a lot of money on the table with not being comfortable at the time shipping out a lot of the day-old chicks, because we have experienced that portion where once we get some chicks, you might find one or two dead, and we didn't want that issue to happen with us. But now that we're kind of thinking about it and going through the process, we're going to just see how it does, and we'll go from there. But this is the hen gear rollout nesting box. You are able to modify it to either gather the eggs from either the front or the back. We have loved it. It's been making our egg collection of our valuable eggs a lot cleaner. If you're interested in getting one of these, we are now affiliated with Hen Gear. We'll leave that description and our affiliate code on the screen and in the description down below. Whew, I had to take off my hoodie and my little hat. Back there is our other American breast group. They're our Greenfire group, one of our breeding mentors. He started off with these after we let him try one of our American breast meat, and he went to Greenfire to get their breed, but then he realized that he didn't have the setup for that, so he decided, we did a trade with him for some birds of our flock and whatnot. But there's been a lot of things that we've been doing. This year we got the sheep, as y'all saw earlier in this video, and that has been one of our funniest animals that we've been keeping. We initially bought 3 of them, and one of them mysteriously died. At one of our friends, he was keeping them till we were able to set up a place for them. So our friend had to go off to a business trip, and his wife had to take care of not only just the cows, the chickens, and dealing with her aunt and the sheep. We wanted to kind of take a little bit off her plate and also kind of see how the sheep would do on our property. Now, we initially had them with our egg layers, and eventually the sheep would start eating a lot of their fermented feed of our egg layers, so we had to separate them. So we reached out to Gallagher, and they were able to give us a sheep netting that we were able to test out for them. They had just tried it out, and put it onto the market. So we got it on, and they've been doing very well. We're going to be rotating them with the sheep netting. So we're very ecstatic about that. But all in all, these have been some quite good animals for us. We've been learning. We're still doing gardening. I know a lot of people say that this is the Naked Gardener channel, and that why are y'all showing a lot of animals? Well, we initially started off with the garden, showing people how we grow our different types of produce and fruit. We're still going to be doing that. Right now is the slow season. It's fall, so not much harvesting, not much showing. Everything just grows slow with the time and the sunlight decreasing each day as we proceed to the winter solstice. Y'all saw the rabbits. The rabbits was the second year of being onto this property. They were actually one of the first animals that I wanted to raise on this property, because I won't say I grew up on the homesteading, or grew up on eating rabbit, but I had it at least twice in my life, and I wanted to do that again. It requires hardly no work at all, as you can see. All you do is feed them, make sure they have enough water, and that is it. We're gonna be start harvesting a lot of their poop and putting into the compost pile. So that's going to be great for the spring season. We're going to be doing that, and actually I got to take all of the bedding, the feathers and the guts and the blood from our processing of our chickens out there as well. Speaking of, don't get into this homesteading if you have never butchered the animal that you're about to raise, because sometimes you're going to have to put it down. With the sheep, that was a once in a lifetime. We broke our rule on that because we never butchered sheep. We never had the shelter for the sheep, but we have ate sheep plenty of time. And from a lot of our friends that have raised sheep, they say they're pretty self-sustainable on taking care of themselves. They do have a high tendency of getting parasites, but along with the rotational grazing and the healthcare management and pasture management with the sheep, you can reduce that. So now that they've been fed, they're all calm and quiet. I need to turn off the fence. We raise all of our animals on this Gallagher fencing, electric fencing. It's great if you're going to be doing rotational grazing and trying to improve your soil. The Top Gun crew, what we call our waterfowl, with our geese and ducks, are the only animals that is able to free range freely without any issues, especially with the geese, because you really don't have to feed the geese any type of feed, because with the geese, their main diet is with grass and bugs. We do supplement feed with all of our animals with some type of feed. As y'all saw, I gave them some leftover fermented feed from the egg layers, but all of our animals, we rotational graze them every week. During the summer times. During the winter times, not so often, probably like every 2 weeks, but we do rotational graze them to help improve the soil. And it really does, because when we first got here, we had nothing but thistle, wild weeds. I mean, we still have weeds, but it's not as bad as what it was when we first got here. I am going to have to reseed a lot of this with some good pasture seed grass, so that way we can efficiently and effectively rotate our animals around here. I would eventually like to do each section of the area for the animals have their own sections. We're going to have the sheep out into the one pasture area, where the chickens, the meat birds, we're going to start them from the back 40 and work their way down to this way. We're going to increase next year. We're going to be increasing our flock of meat birds of production to about 120, 130 per batch. Because we just been running out of breast and thighs. For some reason, those are high items, and we move those a lot faster than whole birds, because eventually, for some reason, whole birds don't move as fast as pieced out birds. And eventually we're going to show you how you can increase your sales volume and increase your marketable birds by piecing them out later, probably this weekend, since we're going to be butchering out a lot of birds. But a lot of people either are just lazy or just don't have the time to piece out whole birds. And you can save a lot of money if you buy a whole bird and piece it out yourself. But those products of whole birds wasn't moving as fast. With the breast and thighs, they were just moving like hotcakes. So we have a lot of business structure in place that we're going to be moving around. So with my time getting decreased on the farm, and with the daylight getting decreased, my time is going to be more focused on the market and the business structure on getting this farm going. So you might not see that many videos from me. Maybe the Mrs. Nikki Gardner might send some videos, who knows. So to make a long story short, the Mrs. and I, we are foodies that love to cook and love to showcase our food. So we decided to grow our own food, that eventually raising our own food. So we're a first-time regenerative farmer that learning all about this, showing you our success and our failures. If this is something that you're interested in, make sure you give us a like. And if you're new to the channel, want to see what other things that we're going to be doing on our channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit that bell icon so you don't miss an upload. Until the next video, let's grow together.